on over. Please join us for a few minutes. Noble Company is going to run through a couple different points of interest. My lovely assistant, Dave Kennedy, is going to join me. My name is Dean Moilanen. Oh, hi, how you doing, buddy? I've been with Noble Company for 19 years, and I think we've been coming to this fine event for over 20 years. And so what we tried to do this time was, I do a lot of CE presentations, and one of them revolves around the concept of, do I really have to do that? And what the concept embodies is, after all these years, after all this time, we still run across some basic faux pas, some repeated sins and omissions that cause a lot of heartbreak for contractors and, of course, their customers. One of the things that I did a couple months ago, some of you may have seen this, wrote an article for Tile Letter magazine. It was about exterior installations. And so what we wanted to tie into our presentation today was, in my travels working with architects, contractors, developers, we see the same problems over and over again with exterior installations. The most important concept to embody, to embrace is, you may have a favorite waterproof membrane, a favorite crack isolation membrane that you use inside the building. I cannot tell you how many problems we have in the field because the contractor dragged that waterproof membrane that's great for indoors, brought it outside, and what happened was, I'm going to grab this big chunk of Noble Deck here. They used the wrong product for the wrong project. Most of the membranes designed for interior application are not rated for primary waterproofing over occupied space. So what happens? You use that product, the thermal cycles, the movement, just the sheer wear and tear of exterior applications causes your membrane to fail. So we have a mock-up here of our Noble Deck product. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with our Noble Deck product, 40 mil CPE, chlorinated polyethylene. By the way, we are the only producer of CPE sheet membranes extruded in North America, but this membrane was designed to be used in exterior applications over occupied space, primary waterproofing. Now, beyond the point where a lot of contractors don't use the correct membrane, they ignore some basic concepts that cause the project to fail. Obviously, I think most of you know about the Tile Council of North America Handbook and movement joints. In our demo, in our mock-up here today, I don't know if you can see it from where you're sitting, but we literally have recreated the soft joints, the cold joints that might happen on an exterior deck. But even if your deck has no saw cut joints or cold joints, you have to have movement joints every 8 to 12 feet in your exterior deck. And so when you're using our product, as good as it is, and it's a very good exterior deck membrane, you have to make sure you put your soft joints. Now, here's the good news. You can locate them in your grout joints. Our membrane allows you to move that joint over to the nearest grout joint. But again, when we see failures, many of them are because soft joints were not used. Another big area of installation shortcomings, when you get to that sliding door or the areas of entry and exit on your deck. It's hard to believe, but we see two things that don't happen. You have to flash up. You can't terminate your membrane at the edge of your deck, because now all you have is a sealant joint to protect your deck membrane from failing. You have to flash up, and what we showed here was, when possible, it may be only an inch, inch and a half, 2 inches, but you have to get that membrane over the foundation, the base of that sliding door or that door assembly onto your deck, because if you don't, again, wind-driven rain, moisture is going to blow up against that deck door, and if you don't have some membrane that covers that part of the detail, you're going to have a failure. Now, our Noble Deck comes in a 6-foot roll, 6 by 50, 300 square feet. I would recommend you can use a modified thin set rated for exterior usage, but we make Noble Bond EXT, typically on larger projects used in a 4-gallon bucket. It's a wet set adhesive designed for not only wet areas, but exterior applications designed to bond to dissimilar substrates. So in terms of installing our Noble Deck membrane on exterior applications, Noble Bond EXT in conjunction with our Noble Seal 150 sealant is the best way to accomplish effective waterproofing. One other area we see a lot of concern with is if you've got penetrations, if you've got railings, you have to make sure that detail is addressed. We do make prefabricated inside and outside corners. I know these are simple concepts, but if I told you how many projects we see where not attending to this detail has resulted in failure, very critical, very important. You make sure that you use and avail yourself of our inside and outside corners. The next area we've run into of concern lately are linear drains. And let me ask you, have some of you folks used linear drains on your projects? Yes? Okay. They're only increasing in popularity. What we've seen is, with the popularity, the growing use of linear drains, waterproofing can be an issue, okay? 95, probably 99% of the linear drains out there are stainless steel. If that's the case, you have two options, using a liquid membrane or using a hot glue concept. What we've decided to do at Noble Company, because let me show you some of the concerns we have. These are real life concerns. When you have a liquid membrane system, as time honored and as effective as they can be, you're reliant on the varying conditions of your job site, the varying competence and skill set of your installer, and you're talking about waterproofing 6, 8, 10 lineal feet of linear drain coverage to ensure you have adequate waterproofing. Now, with our concept, by the way, patented, a clamping ring goes over our drain body with a marine grade sealant. It is the most robust, durable, effective way to tie a waterproof membrane into your linear drain. In the 7+ years we've had this product out, I personally have never come across a failure in the field with this particular waterproofing detail. Now, our linear drains come in a variety of sizes. 2 feet through 60 inches, 5 feet are our stock sizes. We can make custom sized linear drains up to 8 feet. We can locate the drain tie-in wherever you need it. Now realize this is on a custom job quote basis. The break-even point is usually about 50 units. But again, we've seen projects where you simply have to have that drain tie-in at a specific location. Because we make these drains ourselves, we have the luxury, the option of putting that drain tie-in where you need it. You have the option of having a 39.5-inch linear drain, a 45-inch linear drain, up to an 8-foot linear drain if you need it for your project. Of course, we're showing Noble Seal TS being used in conjunction with our linear drain. One of the things we've run across with the linear drain popularity, it's hard to believe, but the lively art of an effective slope to drain seems to be getting harder and harder to be able to achieve in the field. Now, I attribute a lot of this to the fact that a lot of skilled craftsmen, tradespeople left the industry during the recession, depression. A lot of them never came back. But nonetheless, we wanted to make sure we had an effective slope to drain for our linear drain. So what we did, and realized we kind of went to school on some of our competition. There are probably 8 or 10 manufacturers making some kind of prefab slope to drain pan or tray. Typically, in most cases, the foam used is a 3-pound EPS foam, much like this. And I think we have our little ball over here. I brought my balls today, okay? But one of the tests being considered as far as determining the strength, the ability for a tray or pan to resist compressive forces or impact is simply dropping this ball on the foam surface. And as you can see, you've got an indentation, a compression. Now, how real is this concern? I will tell you that right now, There's an ANSI standard in committee. They're trying to arrive at a way to determine the strength, compressive resistance, the impact, the ability for a tray to resist impact forces. The standard's not there yet, but what we've done until then, because obviously you want to make sure, especially on commercial projects, you're not going to have a problem with point loading or compression. We've added the honeycomb matrix to our tray, and so the same procedure. I'll pass this around. Go ahead. Look on both sides, and you'll see there's no denting on our surface. So what that means to you is, when you're working in the field with our tray, you don't have to worry about kneeling on the tray, or if you happen to step on the tray, or if something happens, something's dropped on the tray, that's not going to be a concern. Now, we can waterproof this in two different applications. We have our Value Seal, and for those of you not familiar with Value Seal, we came out with this product several years ago. We had a lot of legacy sheet membrane customers of ours who they love Noble Seal TS, but there were situations where, for competitive reasons, they wanted a less expensive version of our sheet membrane. Value Seal is a polyethylene sheet membrane, has a 10-year warranty, has very, very high crack isolation characteristics. It meets ANSI 118.12 for high performance, as well as it's an effective permeation barrier if you're concerned about vapor migration in your shower assemblies. But we always recommend, of course, we're showing our Pro Base installed in a mock-up here. We make it in a tub concept size, and also a more typical square application. But what we recommend you do is you want to pre-fold your membrane. We were on a job recently, it started in Las Vegas, where we watched the contractors, God bless them, they were cutting the membrane and then trying to put the membrane, drop it into the pan with no pre-folds. And what happens is you end up fighting the membrane, makes your life a lot more miserable. When you pre-fold, obviously you measure beforehand, do your layout just like you're installing tile, make sure you have the right size, length, width, but you see how quickly that drops into your shower assembly. Again, we would recommend you use either a good modified thin set or Noble Bond EXT to bond the membrane. Now the big attraction about these trays and pans, and this one in particular, is that realize if you're not doing sand and cement, if you're not hauling up all those parts and pieces to the 5th floor, the 7th floor, the 10th floor, your logistics get a lot simpler. Not to mention, when you install this Pro Base at 8 o'clock in the morning, a half hour later, you're installing membrane. You're not waiting for any kind of curing of the dry pack mortar bed. So in terms of the money you're saving on labor, the way you can impact your installation schedule, these are all pluses as far as saving money and time on your project. Now we also, of course, Noble Seal TS is still the gold standard as far as sheet membranes. Realize there's a lot of good sheet membranes out there. Some are polyethylene, some are PVC. There is only one chlorinated polyethylene sheet membrane extruded in North America, and that's this product. I've been with Noble Company for almost 20 years. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. We probably have 40,000 rooms in that town with our membrane. The warranty is lifetime of the installation. And by the way, we've worked with a variety of thin set manufacturers over the years. Never had an issue when you're trying to bond tile or stone to our sheet membrane. As long as it's ANSI 118.4 modified thin set, you're going to be good to go. And again, you see where you pre-cut, you pre-fold, your life's a lot easier. Now, I'll tell you a funny story. When you do your flood test, make sure that you do your compression assembly, use your sealant, but I've had people, both with typical clamping ring drains and our linear drain, think that you can flood test with the membrane carrying over the drain body. You realize you can't do that, okay? Because you need to test the most critical part of your assembly, and that's where the membrane ties into the clamping ring. So when you do a flood test with our product, make sure you cut out the area around the drain, make sure you put your ball into the drain, and make sure you do 24 inches, 24 hours, 2 inches for 24 hours. You don't want 24 inches of water. Okay, coming down the home stretch, we had some things come up with SIS recently. That's our sound isolation membrane. Many of you installers out there may have come across this. Luxury vinyl planking has sort of become the new base grade tile. And so, because you may run across that, and maybe some of you guys, some of you gals are installing luxury vinyl planking. If you run across that detail in the field, please realize that type of flooring surface is prone to compression and point loading. We're one of the few companies that have tested our product with luxury vinyl planking manufacturers. We get a superior Delta rating in conjunction with their products, but more importantly, if you're using luxury vinyl planking with SIS, you're not going to be concerned about point loading and compression. We've done the testing. If you use other products, there may be some concerns about point loading and compression due to the nature of their composition. In addition, we've also seen recently, as the economy gets better, a detail outside of showers will show a waterproof membrane, then a sound isolation membrane, sometimes a crack isolation membrane. Realize NobleSeal SIS performs sound isolation, waterproofing, crack isolation, all in the same product. So it's a great tool to use if you run across those projects where you're transitioning from wet areas to impact insulation concerns. This product will address 3 areas of performance in one sheet. Now, we're going to be over at booth, one more little thing here. For years, we've had our contractors say, Dean, Dave, Eric, we can't get 150 sealant off our tools or our fingers. Or we can't get EXT off our tools, off our clothes, off our fingers. Noble Company now is offering this incredible TurboTowels product. You know, when you're in the field and you're trying to clean up, trying to wipe off your tools, I don't know what you've tried. I've tried Xylene, I've tried WD-40, I've tried whatever's available, but I would say if you want to come over to our booth, 7903, try a sample packet. This is not your mom and dad's or your wife's around the house towelette. This is a super durable construction grade cleaning system that will allow you to clean up after yourself and get the adhesive off the places where you don't want it to be. That sort of wraps up our presentation for this morning. We're going to be around at booth 7903. Come over at Quickfire this afternoon. We're doing a presentation on linear drains there as well. Otherwise, have a great day and have a great show. Thank you very much.